joins us now from Adelaide. Cory Bernardi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris, and it's an honour to be on because I never miss it. It's such a wonderful program, so thanks for inviting me.
No, thank you very much. Very, very kind of you to say that. I wonder whether at just 50 years of age you left Canberra way too early, or had you had a gutful of the place?
Well, it depends on who you ask, but, you know, I knew my time in politics was going to be finite. When I got into it 14 or so years ago, I set a benchmark of 50 and I'd reassess then, because that's early enough to have, I think, a new career. And after 14 or 15 years of battling the zeitgeist, the culture wars, I figure it's time for someone else to do it and I'll move on with my life.
You once said that politics is a battle of ideas, not a battle of smears, but it is quite often a battle of smears, right?
Yeah, it is, because I guess that's what life has become now, that if someone's got a different view to you, you don't counter the view with facts or logic. It's more, you've just got to try and demonise the individual, character assassinate them. And then, you know, there was a bloke named Saul Alinsky who wrote a book called Rules for Radicals, and he was the guru of the left. And I think that's what more and more politics is becoming, and that's why we're getting pretty bad results, I think, overall for generations of people.
In 2007, you were questioning climate change obsession. Malcolm Turnbull, then the opposition leader, was unimpressed. The following year, you were questioning same-sex marriage policy. The opposition leader, Malcolm Turnbull, was not impressed. He confronted you after that, right, didn't he?
You have to be more specific about which confrontation I had with Malcolm. We used to butt heads quite a bit, but he did once try and say, oh, you should see the polling, you know, the Liberal Party will be destroyed. And I said, it depends what questions you're going to ask. So if you provide me with the questions, I can then assess the polling reasonably. And he refused to do that, of course. But, you know, in the end, I went into politics, Chris, because I thought there's got to be a framework. You've got to be advocating for things. If you're going to be a passenger or be prepared to go along with, you know, sort of any trendy idea, you're going to end up in a place that no one really wants to be in. And so that's how I went about my business. And not everyone appreciated it, of course, but, you know, I feel pretty comfortable with my contribution. I know it upset some people, but I have no regrets, and I come out of it and thinking what a wonderful experience, and I left nothing on the table thinking, you know, I should have done that.
So back to these confrontations with Malcolm Turnbull, was he trying to convince you that you should be a moderate?
I'm not sure about that, but what he was interested in doing was backing Kevin Rudd's climate change policy. Yeah. And I thought that was absolutely wrong. But Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull, they're birds of a feather. They you know, are wealthy. They're intellectually, they think they're intellectually superior to everyone else. And both of them have this thing, I think, which is called balance sheet politics, where, you know, in a business environment, if you've got the most money in the deal and you control 51% of the company, you get to have a say. And both of them thought, as Prime Minister, because they were wealthy and they're smarter than everyone else, they should call all the shots. And politics doesn't work like that. We're all sovereign little nations or states, or however you want to describe it, and you only need one or two to make things very difficult and awkward. And you know, in the end, I say, Chris, we made the right decision. They got rid of Kevin Rudd. Australia was spared a terrible, terrible carbon pollution reduction scheme, or whatever it was called at the time. It would have been out of step with the rest of the world, and we'd be even less competitive now than we are if it had come in. So the proof is in the pudding.
And the boots on the ground at Parliament House during that period that came down to protest against a carbon tax or an ETS was so loud, was so overwhelming, nothing like it we've seen since.
Yeah, it was quite interesting, and you know, it's one of the I guess the secrets that is poorly kept. But there were some of us, a number of us, that were encouraging those sorts of demonstrations, yep. And it seemed to be pretty effective. And you'd be surprised, even some who believe the climate change malarkey, and I say the malarkey, you know, all the catastrophic end of world stuff. Even they were encouraging us to push back against this policy because they realised how damaging it would be for the Liberal Party.